on, I will use a different language. Again, thank you for opportunity to be here today with you, and a special thanks definitely to all of you who are here participants, and of course kudos to organizers of HR Week. This is my third time collaborating together, and it's again amazing event. 2 years ago in Belgrade, last year online, this year online, but again amazing event. Yeah, so it's really important to have this kind of communities and share ideas and knowledge, especially to share maybe different perspectives of ways of working, just to support and create organizations with engaged employees. A few words about me. I'm Estorović Veduković. My background is in HR. I've been working as HR in different roles in Slovenian companies as well as international companies. And a few years ago, I decided to go on my own way. So I founded HR consultancy company, Agile People Slovenia, which is part of global Agile People community. And my passion is helping HR and leaders to change the way how we work. And I like to combine my HR background with innovative Agile HR practices just to offer truly unique and transformative approach when working with organizations and teams. But this is enough about me. I'm not important here today. We all are. I believe that the biggest learnings happen when we share knowledge among each other. So it's really important to connect, share ideas, knowledge, and learnings. So agenda for today, we have time till 5 p.m. and we will cover firstly Agile People principles that are important when we are starting to work in a more agile ways. And then we will take a look why it's important to embrace psychological safety in organizations, in agile organizations, or in organizations in general. What is psychological safety, and just how to increase psychological safety at work, in your environments, in your organizations or teams. So firstly, I will show you some slides about our topic, and approximately after 45 minutes or an hour, we will work in few groups and we will play, I think, this really interesting exercise with psychological safety cards. But I will go deeper with instructions a bit later. But during exercise, we will work in smaller groups, in breakout rooms, and we will use Mural for visualization. So I think this is all the technical information that I need to share, so we can start, or I can start with my presentation. First, let's take a look at challenges of working and living in the world today. It's not necessary to emphasize that we are living in a fast and changing and complex world, as we are all witnessing right now. Well, unpredictable events affect us, our lives, our workplaces. So events like, of course, health issues, climate changes, digitalization, economical crashes, political changes, and all of these changes have big impact, again, on our business, on how we define our strategies, on which marketplaces we work. And as well, all these changes have impact on how we work and how we lead our employees in organizations. So the main issues that, or questions that organizations are dealing with today are where to find new talents, and how to best support high-performing teams, and how to embrace new or different ways of working, how to innovate, really important, how to build resilience and balance and well-being, and just how to support leaders to change in order to support these different projects that we are taking on in our organizations, and how to create maybe positive employee experience. And these are just some of the questions that organizations are dealing these days, and to find solutions to all issues, or just to get answers, organizations must adapt quickly or efficiently to changes in the market or industry where they are working. Here on this picture, maybe you recognize this old man. It's researcher Darwin, and maybe you remember his idea about the survival of the fittest, meaning that the organisms that survive are those who can adapt and change. And the same goes for our organizations, because organizations who can adapt and establish different cultures, adopt new ways of working, will be definitely the ones who will be more successful and efficient in the future. And the good news is, if I can say so, that we have knowledge and competencies to deal with this complex world. And this is with Agile ways of working. So what is Agile? What does it mean? Agile represents a change in the mindset, and which enables an organization to respond to external changes more quickly or more effectively, while promoting flexibility, adaptability, responsiveness, and learning from within. So besides constant innovation, Agile organizations definitely represents key to success of every organization. And instead of making a perfect plan that we already know before it starts will not happen, you could say that in Agile, you accept reality as it is and just adapt to it. And when we start working with more Agile ways or just embracing Agile mindset, we should take into consideration Agile people principles and values. We know that agility is needed more than ever, and the essence of agility comes from its principles. So Agile people principles are like overruling direction that we need to keep track on, like a lighthouse. And we'll take a look of a few of the principles on which Agile ways of working are based on. As I said, here are, let's say, all of them Agile people principles, but I will just point out a few of them. So when we are starting to work in more Agile ways, definitely transparency is something that is important. We talk about transparency in knowledge and information. Again, increasing transparency in our teams or organizations is really needed, that information and knowledge is distributed to everybody in the company or team. So visualization, when we work with Agile, we use a lot of pictures and images just to have a better common understanding what we want to do, how we want to work. So this common perspective is really important. Then we have trust, of course, trust between people, nothing to add here. Continuous learning and improvement is another principle which is really important, because a learning organization is the goal with Agile ways of working. So when we experiment and learn, it is then that we grow and also understand what is not working. And together with that, more experimentation. It's when we try new things that we have possibility to find new solutions, to learn, grow, and get new ideas. Trial and error, which is similar to experimentation. Make a mistake, learn from it, tweak a bit, or try something entirely different. That is how learning is maximized. Working in cross-functional teams, it's really important just to increase diversity, because more diverse we are, more complex tasks we can take on. And we are constantly learning from each other. We're working in different cross-functional teams. Tell why and what, and leave the how to the people is another principle, which is important. So just to give direction, but not to micromanage. Clear goals are needed and simple rules. Grow people, of course, something that is really important when working on development of employees in organizations. Give and receive feedback. It's really important principle when we want to, because if we want to create a culture when we appreciate each other, we need to have ongoing feedback loops, feedback in short cycles, and something like that. And of course, increasing psychological safety. This is one principle that is maybe more important than all the others, because if we are engaged, if we want to engage our employees or colleagues who contribute with innovative and creative solutions, we have to create safe environment where everybody dares to be themselves, express their opinion, and try new things and just learn. So this is why psychological safety, or just increasing psychological safety in organizations, is really important. And of course, we will go even deeper on this topic in the next minutes. To enable an organization when we operate in more agile way as well, it's, as I said, necessary to establish psychological safety in working environments. But before we go deeper on this topic, I would like you all to ask one question. So this question is, have you ever held back from sharing anything at work, like something you were working on, an idea you had, a complaint maybe, because you were worried about how people might react to it? So think about your, not just the company you're working now, maybe your professional path in general, and you just think about it, make a reflection, and just be as honest as possible, because we will do this anonymously, and just take a look at the group results. So this is the question, which is posted on Menti. So I would ask you if you can maybe take your phone or a tablet and go to Mentimeter, and you can use this code that is here written on this slide. Or if you prefer, I have also posted in the chat direct link to the Mentimeter, so which serves you best. And we will take a minute or two, and then we will take a look of the results, or what the group is sharing on this question. So again, just to repeat it, have you ever held back from sharing anything at work, something you were working on, an idea you had, a complaint, let's say, because you were worried about how people around you in your team or your colleagues might react to it? I will now stop my sharing this slides just to go on Mentimeter and see what are the results. So hopefully you have used this code. And I will share it with you. Do you see my Menti results? Oh, it's coming now. It should be in a few seconds.
Yeah, it's okay. We can see it.
Okay. I don't know how many of you are here, but let's say that maybe all of you have participated. So we can see the results that the majority of you have experienced this kind of situation. So first of all, thank you for sharing and being honest, because this is really a question that is personal. So thank you. Just give me a second to put on slides again. Okay, we are back with slides. As I said, thank you for sharing and being honest. And when we saw these results, the majority, usually this result, I must be honest, it's the same whether I do it in some companies or on workshops. This is the question, or we need to address psychological safety, definitely. That's why, and go deep with it, because we still have situations in our teams and organizations where people don't feel psychologically safe. So for sure, from my perspective, and again, watching this survey, I believe you agree, psychological safety is the most important thing that can also boost productivity and engagement, as well as performance, innovation, and great culture in organization. So we can say that it's definitely psychological safety, or increasing psychological safety is the winner to increase engagement and everything on. So why? And we will take a look at a few examples. First, asking the unspoken question. So let me explain. Sometimes we don't speak up because everyone is sitting quietly, even if there is a question in the air that needs to be answered. And most of the time, we are too busy managing impressions instead of saying what we really think, or asking the questions we need answers to. But we all think, okay, we'll figure it later, not now. So there are many situations, if people felt psychologically safe and asked the right questions, mistakes could be also avoided. And sometimes we don't tell others about our ideas because we think that they may be perceived in a negative way, when in fact somebody is really looking for a new solution or just to solve this problem. And sometimes we're afraid to look incompetent in spite of our superior knowledge about a specific situation. And in this case, in this picture, you can see the nurse has a piece of information the doctor is missing at the moment. And in fact, of course, nobody wants to go to work and look stupid or incompetent. We all want to look smart and helpful. And we don't speak up if there is a chance that we will be backstabbed, or if there is chance that what we say will be misinterpreted or something like that. So it really is manageable that don't ask questions,
Maya,
don't
sorry for
admit
interruption.
weaknesses or mistakes. Yeah.
Your internet is lagging a bit, so can you repeat the past two sentences from the beginning?
Okay, do you hear me okay?
Yeah, now
Or
it's
is
okay. It's occasionally lagging, but for now, just you can start over from the last two sentences.
Okay, so I will go to this slide, and thank you. If something doesn't work, tell me, and I will put my earbuds down. I wanted to say that nobody wants to go to work and look incompetent or stupid, because we all want to look smart and helpful at workplace. And we don't speak up if there is a chance that we will be backstabbed, or if there is chance that what we'll say will be misinterpreted. So this is easy to manage. Don't ask questions, don't admit weaknesses or mistakes, don't offer ideas, don't critique the status quo. And to break this barrier, we must be definitely brave and go first, and then we open up for others to do the same thing. So ask the questions that you need the answer to. Tell people about your ideas. Psychological safety is the belief that one will not be punished or humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, or even mistakes. Inform people about your observations. So because in some cases could even save lives. So this is important. So again, we definitely agree that the importance of psychological safety in workplace is really huge. But what are the evidences that proves that psychological safety is really the most important thing? Here we can start with a picture of Agile Manifesto, or basically the new version of Agile Manifesto from 2016, first communicated by Joshua Kaliewski. It consists of four great cornerstones to keep in mind for everything we do in life, really. So one of them is also make safety a prerequisite, which concerns not only physical safety, but mainly psychological safety. The second case I wanted to highlight is from Google. Google made a massive few years study on what makes their teams successful. And this is project, maybe you heard about it, a project called Aristotle. So one of the 5 key dynamics of effective teams that the researchers identified, psychological safety was far the most important. So the Google researchers found that the individuals on teams with higher psychological safety are less likely to leave Google. They are more likely to harness the power of diverse ideas from their teammates. They bring in more revenue, and they are rated as effective twice as often by executives. So at first they thought that if they put together competent people on the team, they would form the most successful team, but it turned out to be completely wrong. So instead, it was all about the interactions and relationships between the members of the team. That was something that mattered. So if the psychological safety was not there, the rest didn't seem to matter. Next example I want to bring up is from Dr. Amy Edmondson, a professor from Harvard Business School. She actually conducted research about psychological safety, and she's the one who, let's say, is the first one who coined this term. So her research shows interesting stuff about people's learning ability. Her research shows that the higher the degree of psychological safety and motivation and accountability, the higher the degree of learning is in the workplace. And agile organizations or organizations in general are growing when they are learning, when people are learning. So again, psychological safety is definitely really important. As I mentioned, Professor Dr. Amy Edmondson, she's the one who coined this term, psychological safety, and she has been researching psychological safety in work teams for more than 20 years. Her book, which is really, really good, so if you have opportunity to read it, I highly recommend you. It's her book, The Fearless Organization, where there is this basic idea, what is psychological safety in workplace and all the researches she did. So if you have a chance, definitely I recommend you to take a look of it. So moving on, this was some evidences why is psychological safety important. Now let's take a look why psychological safety matters. So it's easy to think that work is all about getting things done. I mean, it is, but doing innovative work is also about learning and creativity, and that's where psychological safety comes in. Companies in our digital economy must try new things, learn quickly, and continually improve. And if employees believe they can speak up and take risks without being punished or humiliated, they're definitely more engaged and more productive. So companies with high psychological safety perform better on almost every KPI or metric. Individuals and teams with high psychological safety have an inclusive culture. Individuals are less likely to leave. They feel safe to speak up, to offer ideas and to ask questions, which is really important. And are also more likely to harness the power of diverse ideas from their teammates. So feeling safe means employees feel they can express themselves, speaking up when something goes wrong, sharing a seemingly silly idea that shifts the direction of the project, and acknowledging when they need a break or even time off. And if you're wondering why this matters, it's because when employees recognize they're in psychologically safe environment, then team effectiveness improves. Meetings increase in value, learning occurs faster, productivity increases, and you become even more resilient. So the strongest effect of psychological safety on team performance appears to be through its beneficial effects on team learning, with studies reporting psychological safety enabling the faster adaptation of new technologies, the quicker adaptation to unique market circumstances and customer requirements, and even more rapid development of innovative products. So there seems to be a clear case for fostering and cultivating psychological safety in teams as a matter of employee well-being, welfare, job satisfaction, and even a moral issue based on employee freedom and empowerment. So I think all of this should be really adequate reasons for any organizations to take a notice of a psychological safety. Okay. Researchers in academia and, of course, real business cases have found that the significant dimension of teamwork is definitely psychological safety. A team feels psychologically safe to its members when they share the belief that within the team they will not be exposed to interpersonal or social threats to their self or identity, their status or standing, and their career or employment when engaging in learning behaviors such as asking for help, seeking feedback, admitting errors or lack of knowledge, trying something new, or even voicing work-related dissenting views. So in the simplest of terms, you feel psychologically safe in your team if you feel at ease with admitting to a mistake, pointing out mistake made by a team member, or speaking up about work-related matters without censoring yourself, and really important, trying out new things. So psychological safety is important for high-performing teams, and because employees are more likely to raise issues about their work or their growth, and that is how they grow. So now we will take a few minutes to just go through some ideas. How do we encourage psychological safety in the work environment? Just to sip water. So firstly, how do I start building psychological safety? Let's say if you're a manager or leader. Amy Edmondson recommends 3 key steps. Let's say first, start with you, with the leader. So the most senior people in a team or organization must set the stage to frame the work and emphasize the purpose. So they must lead by example. And then second, invite participation. Leaders must practice inquiry to encourage people to challenge beliefs and establish practices. So this requires intellectual humility and to set really transparent processes to drive equal participation of all team members. And the third key step, according to Amy Edmondson, respond productively. So listen to people's ideas, if you're a leader or manager, and opinions. But most importantly, just appreciate their input and make explicit that you paid attention. This is really important, and accept failures and making mistakes. So as a manager or leader, you must acknowledge your own fallibility, that you're not perfect, and that we can know what will happen, and that we need everybody's brains in the team to figure out the best way forward, what we are doing. As a leader, create a safe place for speaking up when something is not right. Ask a lot of questions to show that you don't have all the answers. And if you do all these things as a manager, leader, you can definitely maximize your learning, but making it okay for people to ask questions before and after they make mistakes, of course, preferably before, but the entire organization can learn faster, which is definitely the goal of learning organizations. So these are, let's say, a few steps. How can you start building psychological safety as a manager in your team? But now we will take, I have prepared together 13 steps or tips for fostering psychological safety in your workplace. So how can you increase psychological safety on your team? And this is applicable whether you're a manager of a team, or you're a team member of a team, or you're an HR person and you just want maybe to go through some steps and see what are the things that you can do just to increase psychological safety in your environment. So first of all, I would say increase self-awareness. So trust starts with yourself. And if you want someone to trust you, you must trust them first. So feedback is vital to understand how we deal with trust. And self-awareness not only helps us grow, but also uncovers our blind spots. And self-awareness makes us both trusting and trustworthy. And to create psychological safety in the workplace, as I said, start by building self-awareness, because when you recognize how you prefer to think and behave, you can uncover the biases that might be impacting your employees' willingness to share their viewpoints. So self-awareness also empowers you to understand your typical responses to changes or challenges. And with this knowledge, you can adjust your emotional reactions and learn to react in a way that invites open discussion. Of course, there are multiple ways to begin with building self-awareness, including using some motivational reviews or assessments like risk motivational profiling, just to understand yourself and your team better. So the second step or idea or tip, if I can say, is establish trust. Trust is key to success and the foundation for a secure environment where individuals and teams can perform best. Without trust, people can behave politically in self-preservation, waste energy, time, and money. And trust is not given, it must be earned. So just ask yourself, do a reflection, do my colleagues see me as a trustworthy person? Most companies say that they trust their employees, but then their rules show opposite. So psychological safety definitely encourage people to behave like adults, to address things openly with respect and candor. And corporate rules, organization rules should definitely promote the same behavior, because trust is not built with words, but with acts. And when company policies trust rather than control employees, people definitely feel safe to bring their best version to the working environment. The third idea is lead by example. So anyone in a position of responsibility should set an example for the rest of the company. And this is applicable from senior management down to team leads, managers, or just if you're a team member. If done correctly, the set of behaviors should become the norm across the company. So ask upward feedback, acknowledge your mistakes, be open to opinions that differ from your own, and for sure be approachable and encourage colleagues to ask questions. The fourth one, idea or tip, is create a safe environment. So one of the keys of psychological safety is that people feel comfortable voicing their opinions and do not fear being judged. So help teams develop a safe environment by creating a few ground rules on interacting with one another, with each other. And these rules could be like, do not interrupt each other. All ideas are accepted equally and never judged. Never place blame. Out-of-the-box suggestions are encouraged and listened to. And the fifth idea or the step is develop an open mindset. So to break free of judgment and strengthen the relationship between the team members, it's important to have an open mindset. Often we look at things from our own lens, but approaching them from a different angle can really help bring perspective. And to develop an open mindset in the workplace, again, encourage teams to share feedback, help them to team members to learn how to respond to input from others. Rather than criticism, encourage team and individuals to see feedback, to strengthen and build upon their ideas and processes. Okay, so we have the next set of this step. So the sixth step is to promote and encourage active listening. Sorry, something is wrong with my slide. Okay, so promote, encourage, or encourage active listening and diversity. Psychological safety at work is impossible if employees and leaders celebrate themselves or feel threatened by new or different opinions or opposing voices. When people are given a voice and heard, they feel worthy and safe. So employees and leaders who allow for other people's opinions show that they value each other, but they can also learn from them and promote diverse views. So this is an essential part of ensuring people feel valued and that they can contribute to the team. Ideas to improve listening include definitely show understanding by repeating what was said, encourage people to share more by asking questions, and if certain individuals rarely speak during meetings, actively ask them for their opinion. This step was not on the slide, it's missing, but we are moving to the one that is on the slide. Again, one went away from the slide. So the seventh step is to adopt a learning mentality. Adopt a learning mentality, we should engage with coaching questions to solve problems and learn. And by eliminating the fear of punishment, you create a culture of security. And in this way, the employee is prepared to positively analyze their mistakes and improve, experiment, explore, and grow. Really important one idea how you can increase psychological safety is just show value and appreciation for ideas. So if you truly want your employees to share their thoughts openly, you must definitely establish an environment where they feel all ideas are welcomed. As you brainstorm, just suspend judgment. Remember that you don't need to act on every idea. However, thanking people for their contribution and showing appreciation for their insights will go a long way in establishing psychological safety. The one that is really also interesting step and important is being precise with information, expectations, and commitments. To build psychological safety, your team members need to trust you in your word. So we need to be mindful about the information we share as well as the expectations and commitments we make. So being accurate, being realistic, being thoughtful is really important, and setting clear expectations and sticking to commitments with our team members. It's really important that they trust us and then they can be then more open with us. It is also important to, looking at the next step, explain the reasons for change. So we all know that in course of business, timeline will shift, your plans will need to adjust. We all know that, and that happens, and this is the part of our journey in organizations or in life in general. So some of your team members will have an easy time transitioning, while others may be thrown. So when expecting change or new information, when it's revealed, be clear about what changed and why, and give team members just time to process the change that's happening, whether in your team or your organization in general. And the 11th step is own up to mistakes. So failure can be frightening, and especially as a leader, you can take the sting out of it for your employees by owning up to the mistakes you made and celebrating failures as learnings. So regularly ask employees what they have done that didn't work out as expected and what they learned from those experiences. So doing so will help team members recognize that they won't be punished for mistakes and help them feel more comfortable taking risks and especially speaking up about everything that is going on. Next step, also important as all of them, is building a culture of curiosity. So building a culture of curiosity reduces defensiveness and encourages people to question the status quo. When questions like, why did you do it in this way instead of that way, or questions like, how did you arrive at this decision, are no longer taken as a personal offenses, they can spark meaningful discussions. So after all, a curious team members or organization, people in the this is the cornerstone of any innovative company. And psychological safety is also key to ensuring you have a healthy company culture where you can contribute to ideas, where people can contribute their ideas and just be themselves, their best version. And the last idea how you can increase psychological safety is regular measuring. By regular measuring your psychological safety, high-performing teams need psychological safety. We agree on that. And it's essential to understand how your team is doing. So you can start with a baseline with which to compare, and the initial assessment usually surprises leaders and team members because we all believe that our teams are maybe safer than they are, but no worries. The purpose of measuring is not to feel bad about it, but to identify areas to focus on where we can do some improvement. So we don't have to get obsessed with the measurement per se, but just to become better at observing your team, our team members' behaviors, and of course, of all of us in the team. And it's important to emphasize that with psychological safety, it's just imperative not to single out people, not to single people out, do not make issues about a particular person, because psychological safety needs to be built and corrected as a team, because perception and emotions vary, and don't expect results to be stable or always grow in a positive directions. Ups and downs can be just course correction or a change in order. So definitely measurement is important, but even more importantly, we have to focus on building the right habits, opening conversations, and trying to build better environment in our organizations. So we took a few minutes to went through what is psychological safety, what matters, what are the cases, how can you as a leader try to encourage more psychological safety in your team, how can we together increase psychological safety with this, let's say, 13 steps or ideas, if we take them into consideration. And now we will take time to play a game of virtual psychological safety cards. I will take a few minutes just to explain or show all the links, and so that we are all ready before we begin to this game. But firstly, the purpose of this game that we are playing. The purpose of this game is to increase psychological safety in team, company, by opening up and sharing thoughts around areas that could increase or decrease how people feel, how safe people feel to make mistakes in the organization. So we will try this game here, but I definitely encourage you that maybe you do it also in your own organizations or teams if you want. And just to start this communication or alignment or sharing thoughts, what cases in your company decrease psychological safety. This is a great base that you start maybe some assessment or action items, how things can be changed. So yeah, I will stop my slides and show you how we will play. If we already established that in chat, you see all the links. So first, I will open up this Agile People Psychological Safety game, and I will show you the cards and where you can find it. And then we will go through technical instructions, how we play. Just a moment to share you. Okay. I hope this will be seen. Okay, I hope you can see now this my screen.
Yeah, we can see the screen, but it's very small. So for all the people who cannot see very well, you can click on the up right on the screen. You can make a full screen so that you can see better Maya's presentation.
Thank you. This is just to see it now, but otherwise you will go to this link, which is in chat, and you will look it up by yourself on your computer. So this is you can see here are cards, more than 70 cards with some statements. And these statements, maybe you will find them familiar because these are the statements that are from working environments, from real cases. And when you will pick a card, there will be shown this man, which is in green clothes, or with some cards, there will be man behind it that is in red clothes, which means that card that has this man that is in green, that this situation increases psychological safety or presents psychological safety in team environment. And on the other side, when there is a card with red man behind it, that means that this situation shows that there is no psychological safety. So it decreases psychological safety. This game, online game, great. First of all, thank you, all ladies who gave your opinion and collaborated on this game. Kudos for you, thank you. And of course, everything you said, it makes sense. All the cards that you picked up all support psychological safety. Each of you chose the ones that are maybe more important from you, from your perspective at this time and place in your organizations. But what is even more valuable, and if you think how you can replicate this idea in your own team organization, is just to start talking about the situations, opening the space when you can. Cards are, tool that opens conversation, that you agree or disagree on situations, that you are aware whether this idea, this situation is increasing or decreasing psychological safety. How safe do we feel regarding some situation in organization? So it's really important to start these conversations in your teams, firstly in your teams. And yeah, you can choose these cards. They're also in physical version, or just do it on online version and just kick off this conversation. And I think valuable improvements can start from that point. So really thank you for sharing and having conversation in your breakout rooms. And I'm sorry that group 2 didn't, we don't see the posted ones, but you represented it greatly. So kudos to all of you. Here, I would like to just wrap up basically this masterclass regarding psychological safety or increasing psychological safety in your organizations. Definitely you got some ideas, some tools, and keep on start doing or using them in your teams or in your organizations. And maybe just to finish with this, let me see. Yeah, this cycle of, let's say, psychological safety. So instead of, if we instead can admit mistakes, learn from failure and share ideas, we will also innovate better and make better decisions. And if, yeah, we want engaged employees who contribute with innovative and creative solutions, we have to create a safe environment where everybody dares, which is really important, to be themselves without masks, express their opinion, and just try new things, learn and experiment. So we can do it. We just have to start addressing these issues and talking about and doing something about it. So from me, again, totally glad and grateful to have been here today. If you want to write me today, tomorrow, or whatever in the next days or months, of course, you can write me on my mail, or you can find me on LinkedIn, and we can connect, and we can maybe start even deeper conversations. So this is something that is from me. If there is maybe some questions, great. Otherwise, of course, as I said, you can contact me and we can even go deeper in these discussions regarding increasing psychological safety in our organizations, because it is an important topic to address. So thank you.
Thank you, Maya. I can see that we have one question, and I think it's just enough time until we finish this session. So if you have 5 minutes to check this one question that Ružica typed in the chat, and after this, we can finish our masterclass today.
So Ružica is asking how to, I'm just read it, how to involve introvert people in psychological safety and being more open to this kind of culture. Well, great example is today using some tools, and introvert persons really, maybe they are not ready to brainstorm and talk like that. And maybe you can use these cards just to, let's say, one idea how you can use these cards is just pick one card that resonates with you or this week at work of project, and just wait and just they will start talking for sure. So maybe this cards is something that you can try, and definitely to give them time that they open up and that you start talking about. But tools are great things that we can address these issues at the beginning without doing this big bang discussion. So this is something that you can try and experiment with it and see what happens. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Maya. It was a great session. It was very, very informative, of course. And thank you for this working group part. It was interesting to divide people into groups and to hear their opinion later. So I also hope that you enjoyed this masterclass, and for the participants as well. So thank you once again, and wish you a nice day ahead.
Thank you. All the best to all of you, and sending lots of love from snowy Ljubljana.
Thank you. Thank you for all the support you're providing to members in HR Week. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.